Okay, Shalom Aleichem, and welcome to Online Smicha. Let me put on this recorder too.
Recording started.
We are going to have a short halacha shir during our scheduled Choshe Mishpat sessions, but because tomorrow night is Purim, so I figured we'll learn something in Choshe Mishpat that's Negev for Hilchas Purim. If you look in Choshe Mishpat, Siman Shin Ayin Ches. Obviously, Siman Shin Ayin Ches is how a person, the headline is how a person has to be careful not to damage other people's belongings. Asur lahazik momein chaverei, right? That's the headline. But if you look in Seif Test, the last Seif, after it goes through different cases of what's considered damaging and when you're obligated to pay, the Ramah says something interesting. The Ramah in Seif Test, Siman Shin Ayin Ches Seif Test, Bachurim, young Bachrim, Haroichvim Lekras Chasim Vekala. Bachrim who are traveling or dancing or riding, whatever they're doing, for the sake of a chasana. And they're, you see it? You have it? The Ramah Seif Test. That's the last Seif in Siman Shin Ayin Ches. So Bachrim who are participating in a chasna, they're riding, they're doing things to come to a chasna or at the chasna. Veheziku zeh ezeh mamein chaverei. And while they were riding at the chasna, one damaged another. So here's the question: because it was during a mitzvah, they were doing something l'kras chasim v'kala, and they caused damage, derech simcha v'schoik. It was an act of happiness, of laughter. They were joking. Something got damaged. Or v'chein l'sha'ar dvar simcha, or any other damage that happens during a happy occasion. Hoyil v'nagu kain, since that's the custom, that's the way of life, that people get a little tipsy, get a little excited during happy occasion. So this is the chance you take by being there. So if one damages another, peturin, you would be patur for the damage that you did. However, says the Ramah, mikol makim, nevertheless, im nira lebezdin, if Bezdin sees that it's getting out of hand, weddings are getting too freilich, and people are throwing bottles or whatever, if Bezdin feels that lasei siyog v'geder, it's time to put your foot down, to make a boundary, and to protect this type of damage, because obviously somebody's going to be left with a bill that nobody's paying. Harashus biyodam, Bezdin has the permission to stop this. It's not like it's a free for all, because as somebody is left with a bill. Now halachically, the person who damages him would not be responsible. But Bezdin still could mix in here and stop this. Harashus biyodam. When you look at the Smeh Yud Gimel, he says, Ayin b'darkei Moshe, Betur Oirachayim Siman Tofre. You have it, Naftali, you have it? The Smeh Yud Gimel. He says, I want you to look in the Darkei Moshe, in Tur Oirachayim Siman Tofre Tzadik Hey, Mashakosav Oid Minyanim Elu, that he writes more about this issue. So I'm going to switch now from Choshe Mishpat, and I'm going to bring a Tur Choshe Mishpat, Tur Oirachayim, which is Tafresh Tzadikei, is Hilchas Purim. Hilchas Purim is another time where people seem to get overexcited, and there is this notion that all systems go, and you're allowed to do whatever's on your mind, and not necessarily true. So I'm going to read what the Darkei Moshe brings here. He goes through the mitzvahs of the day. You have to drink, you have to have a suda, you have to give shalach manos. And then he says, And then he says to be careful. V'ayin b'chosh mishpat hilchas nezikin sheharachti bezeh. Look in chosh mishpat hilchas nezikin that I was myrich. About which topic? The topic of causing damage. 1 second. I want to quote this. He sends you back to the Darkei Moshe. And I'm looking at Darkei Moshe here, and he says, look later on. In the Beis Yosef, he says like this. Matza b'tshuva. He found in the tshuva, shekol meichel shaleikchim abachrim zeh mizeh. Anytime a bacher, I don't know why they're always blaming bachrim. If a bacher sees a bag of chips, his friend got shalach matan, mishloach matan, he got a bag of chips. And a bacher comes along and takes that bag of chips. Kol meichel, any food item that bachrim take from each other, afilu shalei bershus, mishum simchas purim, and they're doing it as part of the happiness of Purim, the freilach that everybody's eating whatever is available. Mishas kriyas Megillah ad leil sudas Purim, from the night of the reading of the Megillah until the night of the sudas Purim, shehen shnei leilos v'yom echad, which is basically the 2 nights, the night after Tainus Esther, and until the night of the end of the Suda. Ein bahem mishum gneva. That's not called stealing. There is no gneva. There is no gzela. Ve'ein lahazminai lebezdin, and you can't call your friend to bezdin for what he took. Ve'ein choishishin malav. Uvovad shalayasu shalai kahoigen al pizayin tu ve'yair. But don't overdo it. If there are certain rules set by the leaders of the communities, and they say what's allowed, what's not allowed, you shouldn't go against the rules. Says the Beis Yosef, V'nirali, Hainu lididhu shahayu noigim habachrim kach. This is back then when the custom was the bachrim sheared and they took and they grabbed. Avol anu, but by us, says the Beis Yosef, shalai nagu kain, where our minig is not so, Ein chiluk bein Purim l'shar yemais hashana le'inyan zeh. Purim and the rest of the year has the same halacha. You cannot take this the privilege that Purim is freilach, Purim is drinking, and do whatever you want. Okay? So this is, they keep on quoting that the Darkei Moshe was Meirich. Let me just see. I don't see the Darkei Moshe being Meirich here. I just quoted. Oh, no. Let me see if he said it earlier. 1 sec. I don't know. What did he quote? The Shulchan Aruch that the Smeh. What did he say? Ayin Darkei Moshe? I don't have it in front of me yet. Again. Did he say Ayin Darkei Moshe Siman Tavrei Sadik Hey? What did it say? Ayin Darkei Moshe Siman? I don't see the Darkei Moshe making a big fuss about it here. I don't see the Darkei Moshe making a very big fuss here. 1 second. Anyways, let's go weiter. So when you turn to Hilchas Purim in the big Shulchan Aruch, you see it a little more. This was, until now I was reading from the Beis Yosef and the Darkei Moshe. Now I'm going to quote to you what the big Shulchan Aruch, the Mechaber Shulchan Aruch says. And that's in Taf Reish Sadik Hey. So, Hilchas Purim is Dinei Sudas Purim. So the Ramah speaks about the mitzvah of when the Suda is, what you're supposed to eat, what you're supposed to drink. Chayev Adam L'Psuma B'Puria Adalayada. We all know that. Comes the Ramah, and the Ramah says in the middle of Sif Beis, in middle of Seiv Beis. I'll read part of the Sif. Yesh nagul lil beish bigdei Shabbos v'yontiv b'Purim. It's custom. Some people have the custom, and it's the right custom to wear Shabbos clothes on Purim. And the minig is to make the Sudas Purim after Mincha. So you shouldn't, because since on Purim you're a little high, you're going to forget to daven Mincha. So do it after Mincha, and Ma'ariv you'll daven at night. Okay. And then he says, oh, if Sudas Purim is better for you, a bigger crowd or whatever, easier in the morning, you could. There are some people that have the custom that there's a certain dish that they eat in the Purim meal to commemorate the Zaroinim that Damniel and Chaverav ate. Fine. Then it says, Toiv lasik ma'at b'Torah. It's best if you learn a little Purim during the meal, because it's to commemorate what the pasuk says, La Yehudim Haisa Eira V'Simcha, and the Gemara darshans Eira Zu Torah. So show a level of happiness in Torah during the meal to learn. V'chayiv b'mishta v'simcha tzas, and you have an obligation to have a feast, be happy in 2 days. Yudalid v'tezvav v'chein noagu. V'yesh oimrim, says the Ramah, there are those that say, the im hizik echad es chaveroi, if one person damages another, mikoyach simchas Purim, because he was tipsy on Purim, it caused him to hurt somebody, harm somebody. There are those that say that pater milashalim, you would be pater to pay, and he says ayin b'choshem mishpat bedinin nizikin. You should look in choshem mishpat. That's it. He doesn't even tell you where. Look in Choshem Mishpat, which is really in Dini Lezikin. It was the simon that I started off with about Simchas Chasim V'Kala. If it's normal that people get very excited and tables break, chairs break, then this is the price you pay. The Magen Avram says, what is the definition that somebody got hurt mikoyach Simchas Purim? Says the Magen Avram, Pirush she'asa mikoyach simcha, he did it out of happiness, a mistake. Avol im kivein lahazik, this is a very important distinction. If he let out his anger to somebody that he doesn't like, he dislikes, he found an opportunity where he could break something that belongs to him because it's Purim. Im kivein lahazik, says the Ramah, Chayav, he will be obligated to pay. So over here, clearly we see the difference of when you pay and not. So the Mishnah Berurah, when he says that, this din, he says that if you hurt or damage somebody's property, shaloi b'kavana, unintentional, then he would be pater to pay. And the Mishnah Berurah and Sifkat and Yud Gimel, and this Simon says perhaps there will be a difference between a large sum of money that he caused damage, or something small. Something small, maybe you're right. That's the price of the excitement of Purim. But something, leave your friend with a massive bill because you overdid it. You overdid your simcha. That's not fair. The Ramah, if you turn one more siman, the Ramah brings this up again. In Siman Tafrei Sadik Vav Seif Ches, the Ramah speaks about getting dressed on Purim. Masks and all that. So he brings that the people have the custom to wear a mask on Purim, and they get dressed in different costumes, and perhaps a man wears a woman's clothes and a clothing, and a woman wears a man's clothing. He says, Ein Isser Bedavar. At the day of Purim, that is not a big problem. Because their intention is not to wear the clothing. They want to look funny. They want to bring some excitement. So there is no Isser and Yilbash wearing other clothing on Purim. Even more than that, V'chein belevishas, I shouldn't say even more. On Purim, you might even be able to wear clothing which is kalayim de rabbanon, which is shatnas de rabbanon. That's one opinion, says the Ramah. The Yesher, a second opinion, says the Usr. You're not allowed to. So there are two. There is a machlekes. Comes the Ramah. The Ramah says, "Aval haminig kisvara rishayna." At on Purim, we have this saying that on Simcha Torah shatnez, on Simcha Torah, because of the level of the happiness. When a person reaches that level of happiness, he reaches to heights that nothing could harm, nothing could go wrong. So over here, even though there are different opinions, the Ramah says we are actually on the easier, more lenient. And he continues to say, "V'chein b'nei adam hachaytvin zemizeh derech simcha," and if people grab things away from their friend in an act of simcha, ein bazeh mishum loy sigzo. There is no problem of loy sigzo, and this is where the Chassam Sofer makes reference to the Ramah that I began with in Chosh Mishpat, like the Chasna, v'nagu kach, and it's customary on Purim, you can grab things away, but uvolvad shlayase davar shaloika hoigen al pituvei ha'ir. But don't do things that are not allowed based on the system, the rules that the community has implemented, has established for your. In other words, if it's a frum community, they have rules and regulations of what you should drink and how much you should drink, and you went above that rule, then you will have to pay. The Aruch HaShulchan in Siv Yud in Siman Tafresh Sadik Hey and in Siman Tafresh Sadik Vav Siv Yud Beis, the Aruch HaShulchan tries to make a difference between back then and now. Today's days, we don't go so crazy as it used to be, where they had to you had to do additional things to make the simcha happiness. Today's days, just the liveliness of the band is already good, and what we do doesn't necessarily bring more simcha. So the Aruch HaShulchan wants to say that today's days, if anybody does any sort of damage by a chasna or by a purim, would be obligated to pay. However, most of the poskim don't make the difference, and they basically put it in the hands of the Rav. As the Ramah in the Chosh Mishpat said, as long as you could see that it was done derech simcha, maybe there's a loophole. If it's not done derech simcha, then he would have to pay. However, if somebody did it because he was drunk, it wasn't an act of simcha, he was drunk, then most of the poskim say a person is responsible for his actions, and even when he's drunk, he has to pay. So, until now, we were talking about physical damage, financial damage. How about the point that we find that on Purim, people get up and make plays and gramen and skits, and they make fun of just anybody under the sun. The guy could be the biggest Rav, the biggest Talmid Chacham. Somehow the young Shnuk on Purim feels it's right to make fun of his teacher and make fun of his parents. Now we know that even though there might not be a financial damage when you make fun of somebody, but there is no greater tsar for a goof than embarrassment. And in certain ways, the Gemara in Baba Metzia Daf Nun Ches says that biush, embarrassment, is even worse. It has to be treated stricter than dinei mamonos. So we really have to be careful not to embarrass. Don't say that because it's Purim you could make fun of your teacher, you could make fun of from a person. The Gemara in Shabbos says, "Hamavaza Talmid Chacham." Anybody who embarrasses a Talmid Chacham, ein lei refuah lemakasei. For whatever wounds he has, there is no healing for that wound. And so, what is the simcha of Purim? We make such emphasis on simcha of Purim. The main simcha of Purim is to be happy to make fun of Haman, to make fun of Amalek, to make fun of Apikursim. On them, it's a mitzvah to laugh at, mitzvah to scoff at. If it's not about those type of things, we actually have Isser, which is brought in Siman Tov Kuf Samach, that a person is not allowed to be overjoyed. We know that we're still in Golus. In this particular day of Purim, you could laugh at Rishayim, laugh at Haman, laugh at what Amalek is all about. That's allowed. And I am going to finish off with a vart. I don't know if I said this in the last year. What is perhaps one more thing that we could laugh at about Amalek? I think I mentioned it last year. Amalek is all about tomorrow. Did I say that last time? Amalek is when Moshe Rabbeinu tells Yeshua, go fight Amalek, he says, Sevi lochem ba'Amalek. Machar ani tomorrow I will go out and daven, and you will go out and fight. So one of the Chassidish Svarim says that we know that Amalek's klipa is when he sees somebody's enthusiastic, excited about Yiddishkeit, he tells you, cool, calm down, wait a minute, calm down, slow down. So Amalek is all about machar, do it tomorrow, slow down, let's wait till tomorrow. And a Yid has to take that excitement and say, if I'm on a high, I'm on a spiritual high, I must get to do it now. Hayoim la'asoisam. Don't allow the machar, the slowdown, to kick in.